Hey, good morning. Here's our heat map. Much heat. We've got VIX continuing to retrace a big bounce so far. A little oversold bounce in the German DAX, Euro stocks. You can still see where it's getting basically supported around that 42.50 area. And for DAX, really nice bounce at 15,600, but it's still making lower lows, lower highs, I should say, and lower lows and lower highs. So we're still, I don't think, at risk yet of any stops. Nikkei digesting really well around 32, above 32,000. So not a real big surprise this morning. We're going into CPI tomorrow, which is kind of a big deal. Jobless claims on Thursday. Lots of Fed heads. Lots of debate about inflation expectations and decelerating inflation. But basically, we have a market that's very, very sticky, just like inflation. And we've got right now pre-market a little bit of heat. And crude has still not reached that 75.65 level. We'll take a look at that. But gold did reach perfectly that 1938. And we'll see if that has a little wiggle here. I think that's going to serve as a little bit of resistance, even if it pops up to 1950. So I'm talking in particular about the dollar yen. So as the dollar has headed lower to that 101 area, dollar yen got rejected firmly at 145. And obviously the dollar makes a season for all of the rest of, at least for yen and yuan coming back down. It's really quick, very strong, in fact, like a weapon almost. Anyway, the point is we've got a lot of green on the screen. We'll take a look at pre-market. And then after we take a look at some of the kind of like the macro leads, and we got to start with basically the dollar yen and the dollar, right? So the dollar yen, let me just do this real quick. Very, very, very important, at least in my little book. Come on. Oh, on the wrong time frame. All right, so we got rejected perfectly at 145. I do mean perfectly at 145, and we had a rollback, which then started to pick up speed. We get to the 55-day. That's not a surprise. This was obviously the breakout level of 140.80. So that was literally the channel. That rising channel up to 145 got rejected, came back down to 140.80. This is now support on a daily. I would not at all be surprised if this comes down. See this trend line? Okay, this was actually the May 12th, May 11th, it stopped on that trend line perfectly. And then on the 12th, it turned higher. And I said, this is going to be pushing through this trend line. It's had one, what do you call it? Pierce of the 200, two pierces. The next one's going to go right straight through and above. It did. It tagged 140.80 perfectly, came back in, held the 21-day. And then once it got above this 140.80, very bullish to 145. And then it really got rejected firmly. We're kind of right back into this sweet spot. So my baseline bet is that the dollar yen is going to pull back into this kind of 139.39 area, right? Where it had this consolidation for several weeks, right? And it's kind of a memory. It broke above last August, September, and then obviously needed this to get back below and stay below, which it did. And then it broke above just most recently after that May 12th surge, digested very nicely here and then moved higher. So all we're doing is retesting, right? So all I'm kind of like looking at this right now as support until it isn't. I think 139.39 area is going to hold. It also happens to be, you can't tell, but there's a purple line. That's the 100-day EMA. So you've got a weekly trend line that has been absolutely technical as far as how to play this. So far, it has really worked. We're down to the 55, which is held, but I think it's going to overshoot. I think we're going to have a little more shake and bake down here. I think 139.39 area will get tagged. Then that will be the real big watch, right? So are we going to get a resumption of this trend higher because this acts as support? Or are we going to break through this 139.39 and head lower, not just into the prior trend line? See that? Remember that? Once, twice, third time, is it? Well, that worked really well. So are we going to come back and revisit that trend line? I'm going to make it a little bit different color just because we get orange. If we do, then obviously here's the 200-day down here, and that that serves as a magnet, right? You want to go long into the 200. It usually serves as either a wiggle area or rejection, right? Once we get above it, then it's very bullish, and this is literally what happens. So if we come all the way back down, I'd be impressed. I think that would be a lot, but it wouldn't surprise me right now for anything, right? The dollar has come back down into 101. Let me just show you that real quick. There it is. This morning, it tagged 101.68 and then popped right back up. This is an area of support, right? So we've got this kind of on a daily or on a weekly. We have a potential inverse head and shoulder. That's not really my baseline bet. I've mentioned before, I think we kind of wiggle in here for a while. I still see the potential of this moving down in time, but obviously we need to break this 101 firmly to do that. So all we're doing right now is kind of like wiggling down this weekly trend line, or, slinky sliding down the weekly trend line. Only way it's going to be bullish is if we can get back above 104, right? And then this is the really, really risk off 106. So we're not doing that. As long as we stay in this kind of chop mode, that gives the market gods all kinds of freedom to keep the market bid up. But it is definitely worth watching. This is support once again in the dollar. And that's kind of, for the intraday traders, you got to keep your eye on the dollar. But for the dollar yen, as I'm looking at this area of support down here about 139.39, right? That's where I'm saying it would not surprise me if we come back down here to this kind of like 101 area. Can you see that? Now we break 101 area, we're going to continue shorter. And that's the big area of macro debate. And we're not there yet. Like I'm looking technically going, all we've got is a snaking pattern, a digestion pattern. It's if then for me. If we break the 101, then we're going to head down to that 98, which is the price target I gave, 2 months ago? It was April. I did that FX conference. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I still see 98 this year, but we have to break 101 to get there. And we are doing a really good job so far staying above, but that 139.39 for dollar yen would be a perfect area for the dollar to come back down here. So we'll have to see what happens in this regard. But gold is doing, let's just see right now. There we go. Gold is doing its thing, which is as the dollar yen has rolled over, we have a really nice consolidation here, right back into resistance, which is basically this 139, the high this morning, 138, 138. So if we can get back above this 138, then we've got another channel of digestion. Let me just do something real quick. I just want to see what that says. All right, so we have a little trend line resistance. We got a little bit of support, resistance here from that prior consolidation period. All we've done is really get into it. We'd have to get above that 138 area, obviously. So we have some work to do here. If we're going to get above, I don't think we will. Personally, I still think this is consolidating or digesting for another run lower in precious metals, but this bounce is not a surprise. The point is, I just don't think we're going to have so much energy to get, moving big time higher. Same thing with oil. And I had posted this last week that it wouldn't surprise me if we made it all the way back up into this kind of like 75, 65 area, and then get rejected again. So it's just really not, for me anyway, high risk reward of playing. And a breakout in oil, no. A bounce, yes. A breakout in the yen, no. A bounce, yes. A breakout in bonds, no. A bounce, yes. So all of those three and gold, a breakout higher, no. But a bounce, yes. So all four of those asset classes to me are just kind of seemingly low risk reward, just choppy, really. As far as highs, they just continue to get short and push down. So here's the T-bond futures just as a way to kind of look at, there we go. We came all the way down perfectly. Look at that. My blue line is back. All right. So this is this, October, September, 2022 intervention low, and where I literally wrote on Friday, October 21st, exact words, bond bulls better defend here, right? And they did. They really did. They came back down, and then we were kind of off to the races in this sideways squiggle, big theta return, a theta killer if you play those types of option strategies. We definitely came back down to the trend line, broke it. I said, once we broke it, that's it. This is no longer support. We got into resistance, perfectly rejected, and then we rolled over perfectly back to this 122. So far, literally, gold, 1938, check. Oil, crude, 75.65, we haven't gotten there yet. FXY or JPY, the yen, bounce, perfect. Perfect, right here. Right back to that same level. Look at bonds, right? We're right back to that September, October low, not just in the yen, but also in bonds. So we're having a little bounce, and that has given a little bit of confidence here that this is going to continue because it has been such a sharp move, which is like, what, 3%, which is a big deal for the yen. But honestly, this still, to me, is a short the rip. So bonds and yen are both short the rip. TLT did bounce very nicely yesterday. We actually had a pre-market print of 98.43. It does not show up here, but it was 98.43. Really nice yesterday. We bounced into that 99.30, got above it a little bit, but closed below. And we're still kind of working it out, but I'm not, again, a big bond bull. So oversold bounces, we got them perfectly, but not a lot of energy, I think, to move higher. Eyes on gold at 1938. The big question mark for me, forget that's the garbage outside making a long noise, is what are we doing with the yen? Because that whole basket trade is related, right? So the gold, the bonds, the yen, and even oil to a degree are an interplay with the dollar movements and also with equities. So if this dollar yen gets a nice bounce here at that 55-day, we may not be revisiting the 139.39. This is also the 10-week. I have a hard time believing we're not going to do a little shake and bake, which is why I still think this 139.39 will get tagged. But I think it'll be strongly defended. So far, this is all worked out. Roll over, little bounce, yen, bonds, gold, even oil, even though it's not totally tightly correlated with dollar yen. But I think this has a little bit lower to go. So I'm gonna watch this. Yes, it probably consolidates here, maybe even bounces a little bit, but I'm looking at this very strongly with a quick overshoot and then back up. We'll see. Okay, yes, the NASDAQ thing this morning, pretty interesting. I just posted that and all the XLF stuff. Hold on. Where am I? There we go. This is kind of interesting. So remember yesterday we talked about this kind of rebalancing of the NASDAQ 100. It's special. So Microsoft, Apple, NVIDIA, Amazon, and Tesla, they have a combined reduced weighting from 43.85 to 38.5%. I think it not only gives my growth to value rotation thesis mega legs, get the pun, but it also caused, fascinating, I think, the worst trading day for hedge funds in the past 10 years. No joke. So guess what? And I didn't think about this. I mean, I know about this factor rotation, but I didn't think that yesterday was going to be such a P&L pain maker for hedge funds who are heavily long mega cap tech, and all of them were in the red. Remember that? So it was a one-day kind of wonder. So just kind of keep that in perspective. We'll have to see if it continues. And they're very heavily short, right? The Fubos, the Nicolas, the Rivian, what's the Groupon? Remember the one I recommended, right? The Groupon, because they're Carvana. Yes, shorts, think shorts. And in fact, I didn't even realize that 3 of the top 10 shorts, highly shorted stocks, are recommended longs from my dash to trash plays, right? Which is basically Bitcoin looks like it has legs. So I said, I really like coin, that kind of thing. That's one of the top 10 most shorted hedge fund positions. Fascinating, right? So what happened is one of the worst days for hedge funds, actually the worst trading day in hedge funds on a performance basis in 10 years. So they're VIP longs, think mega cap, tech, versus the rest of the S&P, or specifically non-profitable tech, literally delivered a wallop. So they did, by the way, also actively cover shorts in consumer discretionary, which was their most shorted basket, a 2 sigma move. No, it's statistics, but it's kind of interesting. So what we need to do is what I'm obviously looking for since the June 1st rotation, right? Stalking value rotation, which is working. And I did say I expected there to be a bounce and then for us to have volatility and then for us to have a follow through in this rotation, growth to value. It is slowly but surely happening. So, and not just by IWM, but just to kind of give you an idea. So IWM as, you know, for lack of a better word, an example, because it's, you know, 2,000 names, or IWV, which is Russell 3000. But you can see, right, when I did this pre-market on June 1st, we definitely had a major move higher. That particular Friday was the largest move of small cap to large cap in 2 years. And that gap is still there. Now, yes, we rolled back. We got some support. You know, we're still working through a whole bunch of junk here. There's no question about it. But the point is, it's still strong. This rotation, believe it or not, under the surface in particular, might have some legs. Individual issues are much better. I'm just saying in general, it's still working. And that IWV, which is the Russell 3000, which was really important, right? So this was literally June 1st. I said, which one do I like? This is June 1st, right here, right here, right here. I said, which one do I like the best? IWV. So this is absolutely performing the best because it has so many unprofitable players in this Russell 3000. That's why it's performing better than the Russell 2000. Does that make a little bit of sense? All right. So the stuff that I've reviewed so far this morning, dollar yen, right, rejected at 145. FXY bounced on Q, and we have pre-market, it's hitting 66, which is a little bit elevated. Let me just try something real quick. $66.19, but what's the 10 week? The 10 week is 66.27. What did we hit pre-market? 66.30, and then it got rejected pretty quickly. So we're at the 10 week on the FXY, right? So yeah, that might be a little shake and bake here for the dollar yen, but I still think we have the potential to hit that 139.39 again on the dollar yen. Anyway, GLD, silver, and precious metals, I already mentioned, I still see them rolling over one more time before I think it's a better long. So far, they have been consolidating for 4 weeks on a weekly. Now I'm looking at a weekly. Here's the day, here's the hour. So if you are interested in having me look at anything, please make sure you let me know if you're looking at it from a chase, a swing, or a trend time frame, because that's how I'm going to size stuff up, right? Very, very important. Let's go back to the kind of the bigger issues here. All right, so oil is moving a little bit higher. That rig is doing exceptionally well. Michael updated that yesterday under swing. There have been a lot of swing updates. So, you know, Rithika is translating, transporting, whatever you call it, carrying over the chase ideas from the day under chase, a channel in Slack. And Michael is maintaining my trend and swing plays. So definitely, if you have any questions or clarifications, hit them up. You also hopefully notice that custom trade support channel where Archana and Michael can give you some advanced option tactics, either around core positions or new ones. Here's Nat Gas, has not rolled over for that trend line. It's still a big snaky mess on the bottom, but hey, let's see what happens. We've got definitely crude, big sideways chop. And we've got this morning, let's see, dollar yen at the 55-day, bonds taking a little bounce. I'm just trying to see if we have anything here. Not there. We came back down to 3.989, making, we got rejected at literally at that 1938, we got a little weakness. Okay, so not so dramatic, honestly. Tomorrow's CPI, which is a really big deal, right? So we have decelerating core, but it is still very sticky. And the year over year is definitely going to be a low bar that's expected to come in quite weak. Core CPI year over year, we'll see if it actually hits the 4 handle or not, like 4.9, but right now they're expecting 5. We have tons of Fed heads coming in. This might still be, this is supposed to be the kind of like the trough of the cycle, and then we start to push back up. But it really doesn't matter. My point is, whether it's 4.9 or 5.1, it's the market reaction to the print that comes in on CPI tomorrow. And then jobless claims, they're still not at 267,000. So when they do, I absolutely believe we'll have volatility again, but we're just not there. And then, of course, we got PPI, the budget's a nightmare. And that's it. A lot of the focus right now is bidding into FOMC on the 26th, the NASDAQ and what they're going to do, right? So it's a 92% probability that there is a hike coming. I'm on the extremely other side and saying, I can change their mind. So maybe post CPI, they will change their mind and it'll start to come down in probabilities, but not that it's going to make any difference in our trading. I'm serious. Like this, I'm still waiting to see how we're going to do with SPY kind of starting to roll over with Qs, obviously, but big picture, I mean, look at, I don't want SPY, sorry. That's what SPX, please. Thank you. Okay, so, I mean, we literally perfectly tagged. We came back in, we tried to get above, we came back in. We're still kind of digesting this weekly, several weeks now. We're still in trend. Nothing is broken down. On a daily, yes, we've rolled over, we filled that gap, we came back down, we're still below the 3 and the 8. Yesterday we did the same thing, right? We still haven't even filled this gap, from this very strong selling that resulted in some fabulous short-term drama in SVXY and a 21% VIX bounce. But then we bounced very strongly and we haven't gotten back above 44. That's where we kind of lift off and start moving higher. We're still having a tough time here. The Qs are bouncing a little bit this morning, but just kind of keep in mind perspective, right? We hit that 370 in the Qs and we really have not been able to get over it in basically 5 weeks. Look at that big selling bar, exactly like beautifully at resistance. And we really just have not done anything but chop. And I think that this is just nicely kind of flattening out. So we're making on an intraday, a lower high, a lower high, lower low, lower low. So we would have to take this out, this 370 for me to be bullish into the next, monthly or daily price target. So right now, I think the NASDAQ rebalance is putting pressure and is not worth fighting against. So I think the pre-discussed NASDAQ 100 rebalance is basically working to keep the mega tech cap plays under pressure, maybe not wipe them out by any stretch of the imagination, just some sold to you kind of pressure. All right, so here's Bitcoin. Just a reminder that this is going sideways for me. It's a huge liquidity tell. It has, clearly it's just digesting, but that's not bearish. And Mara and Hut and Hive and all of those Bitcoin proxies are doing extremely well, very elevated, but they're also part of that unprofitable tech division. So they play together. So that they just work. EV plays are on the same boat. They're in the exact same boat of highly shorted, oversold, non-profitable tech. This growth to value rotation, I talked about it. I'm still waiting for this kind of head and shoulders to roll over. We definitely have a move higher in the, just real quick. Yeah, if you have any questions for me, hit me up in Zoom Q&A. Sorry. Yeah, BABA looks very good. That's been updated. I've got a few charts on that I want to show you. And this, before we get into market stocks individually, check out this. NASDAQ equal weight to NASDAQ. That's what this is. Look at that gorgeous head and shoulders that's happening. That's what happened yesterday, right? We had a dump and a largest daily P&L loss for hedge funds in 10 years because of that dramatic short covering rally that has been very, very profitable to spot in advance and then position. So long story short, I am waiting for this chart to roll over. This is a big, big, big important growth versus value chart. It has not, repeat, not rolled over. I am watching every day. I check this chart out because when it does, it is a freaking phenomenal tell that growth to value is 100% in play. We are not there yet. We're just starting to flatten out. Okay, so I think this is why I say it's a second half kind of deal. All right, so Q's getting rejected again at that kind of 367. Apple, same, looks identical, right? That was a really nice already short into 190, let it bounce, come back down to this 187 area, let it bounce into resistance, and then let's see if we can make it back and through to that 185 area. But right now, all it's doing is, right, gapping down and then lower high, weak sauce, okay? It's working. It's gentle. It's actually structured. It's gorgeous. Talk about a predictable short. When does that happen? Come on, not often. So a predictable short is when you have on the weekly, right, this congruence of time frame where you can see it's petering out, right? Now that's support. The 10-week is support. The Keltner channel is support. Can we have a bounce here? Absolutely. But it's still a gorgeous pattern. And then you come over to the daily and you're like, oh, it got sold off very strongly, just like I showed you on Apple and the Qs, because this is such a big weighting. And it's just nicely gapping down yesterday on the NASDAQ 100 special rebalancing announcement that folks are going to front run. And hedge funds are in trouble as their short positions bounce strongly and their long positions soften or roll down. It's not dramatic. It's so, I don't know, gentle. This is like gorgeous, beautiful. You could add time and not really worry about getting your head cut off. Anyway, the video with another one. It has that kind of head and shoulder feel, has not broken, right? This one is still sticky as you know what. AMD, a little weakness coming down. Okay, Amazon was a little bit trickier yesterday. By the way, that looks gorgeous. This looks like it is 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks of testing that 10-week. Looks like a nice pullback to 107. This was extremely strong support. Rithika, what's your AMD Elliott wave kind of look? I'm just looking for a retest here of like this 107. But I'm curious what you've got. Amazon has Prime today and tomorrow, so they popped up a little bit into this channel. Again, this is one of mine that I actually think is, depending on your time frame, trend long. If you can, or swing long, if it can really stay above this, it was gorgeous, right? Here's that long trend line. It's one of the mega cap tech that's basically an underperformer relative to Apple and Microsoft, for example, pushing above all-time highs. But this is important support, 127.27. So we break that, we're going to come right back down to 121, which is great for short duration. I'm not expecting this to fall apart. It does have Amazon Prime today and tomorrow. It is getting supported at 21. Check out that 21. It hasn't been here since literally beginning of May. So all it's doing is digesting with a little bit of a shimmy. It needs to break back again, this 127.25, to make it lower into that kind of 123 area. So it's all right. So Rithika says, yes, I could test the bottom of the support channel, but she's still looking for 130 on AMD into August. So definitely she's got a much higher count, basically coming back up here at some point in August for her Elliott wave. I'm definitely looking at this on a very different view, which is a gentle pullback, with NVIDIA and the rest, if this is going to break, which so far it hasn't. So XLK is still sitting above this trend line. Here's your left shoulder, here's your head, here's your right, potentially coming back down. Where the heck did my lines go? I had another one here. Oh, strange. So no, I'm just looking for like 168, and then let's see if we can get a little bit pushed lower. This is a gap fill. So if we were to get some real heavy selling, we're going to know it. Not just this trend line break and a tap of 168, but a break of 168. Then you've got that head and shoulders really starting to work lower. And keep in mind, gaps typically fill. Remember this one? This one right here was a weekly gap down in August. That puppy filled. It took a while, but it definitely filled, consolidated forever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my God, 6 weeks before it moved higher. So we have, it's not a question, honestly, of if, it's when will we fill XLK, let's call it 155. I don't know if it's going to be in the next few weeks. I need to see these levels break first. It just simply has a nice pattern. And the same thing with SMH, right? Has the same kind of nice pattern. All right, so let's go over quickly and see. Yes, but this can snap back just as easily. Remember this that I just showed you, which is equal weight to NASDAQ, which is heavily weighted with mega cap tech, because we had a pullback in mega cap tech and we had a very sharp short covering spike in non-profitable tech. I just showed you the stats on that. It was damned impressive. And I didn't even realize it was so strong for hedge funds on a daily loss. Doesn't matter, they'll make it up. But the point is, it would not surprise me at all if we bounce back up, get rejected, and then come back down. So I'm just saying that's a gorgeous pattern to play. I'm definitely looking at some softening here with this, growth. Like this is starting to soften, but it hasn't turned yet. We've had an awful lot of digestion up here. So again, I've got nothing until this starts to turn over for a viable follow through swing short. I'm just waiting right now for some of these to trigger. And it will be made difficult, by the way, because we have earnings starting on Friday, right? Big banks starting to report. I just want to point out 2 charts that I think are very interesting that could get in the way. Number one, gap SPX on earnings basis, on a gap earnings basis, you can see where we absolutely troughed with tons and tons of Fed liquidity, right? And then we peaked and we've been rolling over. This has started to roll over. We know about the earnings, Q2 earnings trough expectation. SPY at the SPX underneath has continued to move higher in concentration risk. We know about that, right? The mighty 7, the mega 7 or 8. The point is, this has gone higher, this has gone lower. One of these is wrong. So either we're going to trough in Q2, and this is going to pick up and break higher, which is very unusual. If anyone who's done technical analysis can see, this has been a very, very, very nice monthly trend to stay with the trend. And then this should really come back here. Like there's no part of me that does not believe we're going to come back down and test this breakout. There's just no part of me that doesn't believe we're going to do that. So we're going to obviously have to get through Q2, but I think this is going to be a second half year retest. And then the other thing is BABA. Let's take a look right now, and I'll look at my alerts as well. I was asked about this. Some people love to play BABA and with size. So I will be taking a look at this much more closely, okay? For a few reasons. China is easing. So I've got article after article that I keep reading about how they're supporting the real estate space. They're, the yuan devaluation, oh my God, reserve ratio requirements getting lowered, basically the easing that they are looking to do as the dollar softens, and they're in a better position to do that, then China plays might get bid back up. So I did say I don't think these are investments, but I do like the trend and the swing aspect of some of these. Here's K-Web. Maybe, big, huge maybe. This is an inverse, shoulder, head, right shoulder, and it moves higher. Everybody has eyes on BABA. They love this stock. It has a very friendly options play, right? So if I put this on a weekly, daily, hourly, I can see it's choppy as could be, very, very chaotic intraday player. Much, much better if you're kind of doing it from a swing perspective. You get a potential inverse head and shoulder. It's getting up all the moving averages, 200, 150, all that stuff. Needs to get and follow through 92, 94, right? And keep going. But this is interesting to me. I did this on a monthly and a quarterly. And yeah, we're going to do yields in a minute. Monthly and a quarterly. Check this out. Here is your huge channel. Now I've mentioned this 120. How long have I mentioned 120? It's ridiculous how often it hits 120 and it has gotten rejected. Look at the quarters. 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters in a row. Remember, this is a quarterly. It's just been gorgeous. Every time it gets there, it gets rejected. So that's why I said if it ever can get and stay above 120, I am extremely bullish. In the meantime, this is the chop, right? It's at $90. It's between 60 and 120. So I know that's way too big a time frame. Nobody would ever trade on that time frame. So I'm going to go like back to the monthly just because we have a trend line here and it's getting into a wedge. It's also getting into an area where this 10 and 21, even though it's on a monthly and it's going to take some time, is starting to merge. So we're definitely going to have something of size coming into play soon. Look at this, 120, 60. I'm leaving the same quarterly levels on. I'm adding these monthly trend lines, and then I'm going to go to the weekly, right? And this is the same on the daily chart, right? So I'm going to go to the weekly, and you can kind of see it's messy as could be, but yes, potentially could left shoulder, head, right shoulder, but it needs to behave. So those quarterly, monthly, weekly timeframes, weekly is what I typically work through, is what is on my mind as it relates to BABA getting and moving higher. It could, but I want to see follow through. Honestly, that's all I want to say about that. Just kind of like keep that in mind. So far, it's doing really well. This weekly engulfing candle, and it's followed. And I said it has to stay above 90 to make it to 95. It's got to get above 90 to make it to 100. So level by level. But so far, K-Web plays have a little bit of a bounce to them. They're not falling apart. This is where it had to get defended, and it did. 25.85 came up to the 50, came back. It's holding. Nothing else is exciting. Honestly, I just wanted to kind of point that out because China is easing in a nutshell. All right, pot stocks. It's hysterical. I know it, but remember how I said and kind of prefaced this whole thing that we've got potential shorts covering? Maybe, maybe not. But the point is, it's trying. That really got above. It went literally green, red, green. And here we are again, right back to the 3. Let's see. Let's see if they come in and accumulate this, the junk, basically, the dash for trash. All right. We have so far this morning a spot of lots of red. I'm going to show you. NVIDIA is still a little green. ARK is green. Amazon is definitely green. Prime Day. BABA is green. Snap has been just a weird one. Snap. Yeah, Snap has been very, very bullish. Okay, so let me go take a look at the main indices, see what we got here. Still just struggling through that 188 on the Russell. Not a lot of excitement there. The diamonds still in that channel. SPY is a little bit green, but not exciting. But yeah, but it's still sitting above 535. No question. It got above here and it hasn't broken down. Just not a lot of energy today. Looks like a week. Yeah. Just looks weak. Just not a lot of energy yet. And Fang got rejected at 360. I mean, 367, and Fang's a little bit wet. This is not very like, this looks awesome as a short. I still want to see that break. New York Fang has a lot of the mega cap tech, right? And I have this thesis, right, of what I've seen over the years is that once you go into distribution or consolidation, you're either going to break higher or roll over. And so far, this is tagged the 21-day, usually the second time it breaks it. So I'm looking for a break on Fang. Breadth is still very positive for the Russell. the NYSE, I should say. Yeah, so we're still green on NYSE. I can tell by breadth, which is very positive. Literally, this is June 1st. Stalking a value rotation, also oversold junk, and it's working. But we're getting right up to resistance right here, right now. So that means I should start to see selling. I haven't looked at this indicator. Let's see. We got up here, we pulled back. We need to see if we can get above. I'll be very impressed. Otherwise, I think we peter out for a little softening today. So we had a huge surge. Pullback was strong, completely recovered. This is net buying, net selling indicator, right? So it came back in very strongly lately. Hit the Bollinger Band where I warned, careful, might have a little shake and bake. And literally we had VIX, pop up. This came back, got absolutely defended, 2-bar reversal. That's Russell, nicey, however you want to put it, and popped up. We're still kind of hugging the Keltner channel. We haven't gotten above. All right, so this is going to be very, very telling. If we can get above here, it's going to be bullish, period. So Russell value, all that will start to outperform or continue to outperform. All right, in the meantime, we got Netflix taking a little header. AMD down 1.6%, but not so much since the open. ZS was so yesterday I was tired, and I'm like, literally I was like this, the only squeeze I can see is ZS, but I'm not excited about it. So it ended up having a very strong squeeze, and shame on me for it's fine. But this is already swing long, right? So this phenomenal gap up and got into resistance, came back, and now it's getting defended. Now this needs to scoop higher to really be outstanding, but as Tim had pointed out yesterday, it actually got an upgrade by Needham to 210. So hence the reason for that squeeze. Now I did say it had a squeeze. It needed to stay above 146.48. I said maybe it gets to 150, 151. Okay, well, it shot much higher. It got to 156 before a little bit of a pause. Long story short, ZS looks perfectly fine. So as this potential trend reversal or as a swing that has a nice shallow pullback, obviously the next level you want to trigger for your swing is this 159.55 area. It's just the market doesn't look so, what do I call it, like solidly higher. So I don't have any problems with individual stocks, but as a group, it's a lot better when you're swimming with the current and the market's going there too. And then when the market starts to peter out, stuff underneath the surface starts to peter out. So what we're looking for is obviously the sector rotations that are still working. And let's see, where are we? Amazon is popping on Prime Day. It's basically the only strong green, or the strongest green on the screen that I have is Amazon because of Prime Day. Still not looking very, it's a perfect balance of 126.27. It's basically in a situation I want to do, of coming back up into this, maybe 130. It's still choppy. It's just a choppy mess. But yes, Amazon is Prime Day is the reason for that season. What do we have for ETF performance? We know Tesla's a little soggy, right? That's gorgeous. It still hasn't even filled the it's actually 263.55. We know AMD is soggy. We know Microsoft is soggy. These are just gorgeous, slow, nothing spiky. This is gorgeous. Okay, so 328 is the next level that needs to pop in order for this to get some rotation lower. This was a perfect tag, you're it, right? Lower high, at resistance. This is structural selling. This is not forced selling that is quick and, oh my God, what happened? No, this is structural selling. It's what happened to CRM? I had a upgrade or something. Yeah, well, it's still a choppy mess. All right, so me go look at some other things here. Got a lot of consolidation. Okay, let's see if I can find. Hold on. Ooh, you're right. Archana, she's on it already. So she's looking for the chases, right? First thing she says, and I don't even see it 24 minutes ago, look at Etsy for a chase or a day trade. Brilliant. So here's a bullish engulfing. It needed to get above 87.24. It opened at 88.76. It's now 91.50. And that's a gorgeous, gorgeous bullish engulfing. So it has to close above this 91 area. See how it got there? It didn't close above, dumped right back below, came back in. Now it's making another run for it. Okay, so that's one that just literally triggered a squeeze. Let's see what the volume is. 1.1 million, can make it to 93.50, but I'm more interested in the close. Because if the close is really nice and solid, they're going to find this one, right? It's starting to behave more like the start of a potential swing. It's Redfin already came in. It continues. Z, very nice bullish engulfing. Yeah, these are. Remember Fubo and Futo and yeah, these are the oversold stuff, the crap, right? Recommended if you really want a speculative play, you go for the most oversold and expect it to move higher. This on 4.35% move higher, we literally just talked about this, like literally this week. Guess what? It's got 4.3 million in this. That's a short covering look to me, like slowly and then surely. Groupon taking a little rest, but that's already started to look good. Let's see. I want to just check some of the macro stuff. All right. Yeah, we're definitely firmly, look at this. There's the 10-week. Here's the 140.80. Give it a little bit of time. I don't know if this is done going down, however. That's the tough part. Getting rejected and then coming down to retest the breakout. The dollar yuan is so much stronger. Yeah, that's definitely having a tough time. Remember pre-market, what did it tag? The 10-week. The 10-week, 66.20. No joke, the 10-week is resistance, right? That literally is 66.29. What did it tag pre-market? 66.30 and got rejected. So that's petering out, long story short. All right. A little sideways. Little pop in oil. UNG is funky. So that's a very, very large, right, expansion candle. I know you're very excited about this one because the 10 and 21 are converging, which is very important for a trend reversal. I much prefer to use the other chart of the underlying and seasonality. And Anne reminds repeatedly, be careful. The better time is, maybe start acquiring in August. Now it looks like it's trying, but it's the September, October impulse for nat gas, which is strongest for longs. Anyway, it is definitely trying to hold this bottom. I hate to say it, but like 666 on UNG and specifically has not come down to tag that trend line, but it still also has to get back above 275. So your oil and gas plays. Oh, Brian is long VLO again. Let's go over that. He's so good with that play. So he's these are all like they were pre-market. So I don't see anything really, really compelling except growth to value is starting. Look at that trigger. 1.72. Mega cap gets more pronounced in selling is my bet. We're not there yet. It's so much a tease, but we need to break that level for growth to value rotation to really, really kick in. Bitcoin is absolutely stable. We don't have a lot of credit risk here. We don't have a lot of, we just have a shallow pullback in the dollar and the yuan. We have stickiness in oil and gas. We have basically that 1938 rejection for gold. So nothing has really changed. And then we have an oversold bounce in bonds exactly on 122 support for ZB or 99, 98, 43, whatever the heck it was for bonds for TLT. Something else I want to check here. Flatlined and buying. There's still though. Look at the breadth. The breadth is, this is the cumulative, right? Buying, selling. It's still, we're in a mini trend here. I want to see if we're going to do a kind of a double top and roll over or take this out and keep going. Breadth is still very bid in NYSE stocks. So that's just basically what that's saying. So XLK is starting. Should be down here. If this proves to be a correct pattern, we've already got Microsoft coming and breaking the Keltner. Here's the 10-week flattening out. Looking for 326 in Microsoft. Right now, we're right down to where we were yesterday before we bounced. A little bit more pressure though, right? Gorgeous. Apple doing gorgeous. This is perfect. Tesla should be coming down, but it's not. Amazon, yeah, let's see what happens there. Let's wait a little bit. CVS is getting a nod here higher. I'm not sure what the news is. It just has a little stick figure higher. Hold on. Yeah, I don't know the news on that one. Looks like it's trying to come up off the bottom as well. Again, just think short covering. Snow, weak, but nothing really exciting. We got definite stimulus measures in China. Let's see if they can translate to any sustainable follow through in Chinese ADRs. Not today. All right, so what we had was the 10-year did get above that, you know, perfect bullish engulfing, follow through, tag your it with precision. 4094, 4091. So it got itty bitty above and then came right back down. But the point is, this is definitely a little bid with this pattern, but softening right here. So where does it slow? We got a gap fill here. I would fully expect it to come back down to 3.945. So let's see what happens as this kind of softens. TLT is a messy little one. Got above and then just sitting on 99.30. Ah, scaredy cats. Got a little bit of green on the screen. A little bit of red for spot for FANG and Qs. They look good. And we got potential squeeze. And then what do we have for the oversold junk? Yeah, even Netflix is in distribution, but it's not part of the NASDAQ 100 rebalance to my knowledge. No. Little semi action here with some softness. Nothing really, what's the word, dastardly, really quiet. Look at Zim, another one. Etsy. Yeah, any follow through? Yeah, I'd call that follow through. Good job. Okay, so Etsy definitely had follow through. That was a 50-day tag with 93.50 potential price target. Even, yeah, a lot of semis are just chopping sideways. I don't see that group as very exciting. Look at Zim, not Zoom, but Zim. Okay, hold on. I want to go over the sector rotation stuff too. But let me just look at this. If there's anything in my squeeze that looks particularly interesting since I was. Lucid is holding that 788 brilliantly. 788, very nice. Look at this, gorgeous. I forget who bought calls, and I'm like, well, we should have a little bit of a gap fill pullback. We did perfectly. Look at that. That's gap down, right? And then this EV rotation was very, very, very strong. All of them, basket trade. Doesn't matter what you pick. XPEV, NEO, blah, blah, blah. All right. Pulled back down exactly at gap fill and then broke above it. And it is moving firmly. And here's the 10 and 21 has not gotten above. Now that's what's so interesting. Remember this huge candle back here? We still didn't have a trend reversal. Nope, it all got sold. All got sold. But now we have a much better structure for higher. Yeah, Rivian, definitely. Here's your 50 digestion. NEO hasn't even made it to the 50, but is sitting above the 200. Look at that. That's gorgeous. 1040 was price target, and now it's sitting above 1040. So they still look like they got some work here. Nikola holding. I mean, I hate these pennies. They're basically a penny stock, but I mean, this is still a very nice structure. It had fabulous option activity. We'll see. We'll see. All right. TEL is an oil and gas play that has not a lot of interest to me, but has a lot of option flow that's very expensive. So I think it's a much better stock than an option, but it looks pretty productive. Got 1 million shares that are coming in. CCL, great place to sell some calls up here at this 1911. All right, so not anything else in that list, honestly. AI stuff getting pushed back. Novartis. This is the weight loss play that started to get into distribution. Now it's broken the 10 and now it's starting to roll over. This looks very much in target, this kind of 145 area. Let's see what NVS looks like. Very different play, but I want to see what NVS looks like. No, it's still holding. Really, really, really different stock completely. Just happens to be in the same kind of space, but this is still holding. NVO looks like a nice rollover. Look at UNH. Nope. Hot stocks are leading. Look at the junk coming up off the bottom. Oh my gosh, look at Tilray. See that green line? None of these bounces have held. This is obviously the dash for trash in full view. Look at that scoop pattern. Very, very speculative, but something's up with the pot stock space. So I don't want to ignore it, especially if you like that kind of action where you have a position, small, please, and then it explodes because volatility enters it for whatever reason. I just want to kind of keep an eye on that. That is right smack dab on that trend line. Coin, yeah, we'll do that. Hold on. I just want to see what else is in here. I like the boring REIT of IIPR. It's starting anyway. It hasn't triggered yet either. Look at Kronos. So this is the same kind of thing. Remember, I kind of was like, I'm enamored with this. Just needs to get above 197, and then it had this one-day wonder. Boom, right back down, and now it's marching higher. So Kronos and Tilray and MSOS all have a look. Are they highly speculative? Yes. Are they potential going out of, business? Yes. But there's so many low-priced stocks in here that have been in extremely extended downtrends that have the day trading look right now. I don't recommend if you're not comfortable with them for a lot of volatility. Like this is that was a SPAC featured on Real Vision, for example. Finally kind of going into this inverse head and shoulders. It has a look. I don't even want to do this, but I'm going to do this. Yeah, I don't want to do that. It has a Carvana look, right? Where Carvana, potential going out of business play as well, did one of these, got right up into the 167. Just take a look at that pattern. Down and then scooping. If it can follow through, there's your 10 and 21. Now look at Carvana. Major, massive down, scoop, and now it continues to follow through on what? Is it less indebted? No. Is it more profitable? Absolutely not. But shorts are covering, right? So that's what I mean by I like these patterns only as speculative chases, not investable. What's the word? No is a complete sentence. I just see this as a fabulous continuation long on short covering. I think the shorts in this are like a ridiculous 40-50%, right? So it's not going to be a GME, but it's definitely going to come up off the bottom. And this could very easily head right back up to this kind of 40 area, 43, 47 area. All right, so we did that. That's another squeeze that's still working. UPST, yes. Very good point. So UPST is one of the top shorted stocks, top 10 shorted stocks. This was recommended a while ago for the same kind of reason, right? Back in May, we had junior tech taking off, gorgeous. And then we had massive follow through, 2261, and it has continued, right? Pull back, still in this 10. See this 10? It's gorgeous. That's a trend. Just stay with it. Pull back to the 21, breakout. So UPST, absolutely doing really, really well. Now above 41.30, I need a new price target. That was the pullback. I mean, did not cross over, did cross over, had to get above 22, pull back, 41.30. Are you still in this, Tim? I think, and look at this. There's just tons and tons of support here. I mean, room here to run up to this 54 and change. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, looks pretty good. I think UPST is still in short covering mode. Let's go over volatility and SVXY. Anyway, UPST has been the oversold stock. I'm going to put this over here that keeps give, and Unity is the other one I think you're in, right? Yeah, it's still consolidating, but looks good. All right, so Snap has had massive calls that keep coming into this play. $7.25 earnings. FXD, XLY, let's do that. Oh my God, guess what? Yesterday, Arts Note, you know how I was just saying that the consumer discretionary space had the largest short covering rally of the bunch? You got your Etsy right in there. Very, very interesting, right? So, okay, so Etsy. Not only is the consumer discretionary a space that had hedge funds short covering shorts, but you have this opening. Archana already said this is her chase first thing this morning. It opened at 88.76. 92.76. Very nice chase. Great job. It's right here at the 55, but as long as it closes above this kind of 90.79 area, it looks very good. So price target for today, 93.50, almost there. Unbelievable. Okay, my speculative long was, again, I already mentioned UPST, but my horse was coin. So I really like the Bitcoin consolidation, the proxies that were all moving higher in nice charts. Coin had a fundamental as well as a technical, as well as this factor rotation for hedge funds. It's doing awesome. So I don't see any reason to kind of stop this this behavior right now, which is basically basing for a year. Look at this. May of last year, we're in July, we're just starting to get above, right? This is the 50, it was very important. We tagged it. Sorry, I've got better lines right here. I love this one. So this is doing great. We still have to process. What was my next price target? 86.28. We're there. Like, this is consolidation area. We need to get above it. One that I wasn't so excited about, but it's working extremely well. Okay, I'm going to look at your Zim in just a second. I know I keep forgetting. Is Roku. Right. Coin was my horse. Roku was like, maybe. But yeah, look at it. Yeah, maybe. All right. It's also a discretionary consumer, whatever. You know what I mean? It's stick shift for 2 days here. Amazing. Great job. All right. So I went over, Dion, the gold as it relates to dollar yen. We also had Michael post my bullish percent index for gold miners. It's still consolidating lower. I don't think it's ready. Oh, okay. So wait a minute. Let me do Zim first before I do the next one. Zim. Nope. It might be basing, but it still has a lot of work to do. Dumped. It hasn't even gotten inside the Keltner yet. I'm not as excited about that one. Needs to come back inside. Hold on, let me see. Productive, but not there yet. Let's do this. It seems like it's trying. Yeah, that has to get inside the Keltner at 1370. Then it has to get above the 10-week. I'm going to do this one actually. Clear with a 10-week. Yeah, perfect. All right, so it still needs to keep going. I'd be much, much more interested once it gets above 1428. Hey, Ann, good morning. LPG, specialty shipping in the LPG space, which that's kind of their, ooh, that's a gorgeous trend. That's beautiful. Yeah, there's that. This is a very, very, very nice stock. Making higher highs on a weekly. Nice. In this particular case, because it's a little thinner, like, okay, a lot thinner, I need to put it on a monthly just to see what the trend is. Because it doesn't move very much. Its average true range is probably, oh, let's see. What is the average true range for this one? I'm going to say like 50 cents. Not like $5, but like 50 cents. So it doesn't move very much. Where is this one? What is the average true range for this puppy? Huh. Beats the hell out of me. Where the heck is it? Oh, here it is. So LPG is 82 cents. It's average true range. So it is not what you'd call a volatile play at all. But man, it just looks very, very nice. Boring, but nice. Okay, sorry, I'm looking, I have my other charts on the other side, so researching that just a little bit. All right, so we've got, let's go over, how's it going? Let me see what else I got. So I like that one. LPG looks fabulous as like a trend play, and it has a nice dividend, Ann says. With, so you got both worlds. Let's look at Trex too. LPG, I want to see if that comes up in my trend long scan, because it looks very nice. All right, so let's go back here. Newell, WFC, Countermax, AAP. Oh, Whirlpool, also very nice job. Archana mentioned Whirlpool yesterday was breaking out. It's also in XLY, consumer discretionary, which was a very strong short covering rally yesterday, a 2 sigma standard deviation move, and now it's continuing. Excellent job. So Whirlpool, excellent. Yesterday nod from Archana, and today Etsy day chase 93.50 en route. Very, very nice. And by the way, there are a lot more within this XLY that are gapping up. Look at this, look at this, look at this. Look at all the gap ups. Oh, look at this. 1, 2. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's short covering. NVR, Lowe's. I really am fond of Home Depot, but Lowe's is doing well. Tractor Supply, let's see. PHM, that's you also liked Booking? No, you liked Expedia. I liked Booking. Home Depot, that's mine. So Home Depot, I will like, that's one of like a trend. I don't have it listed, but it is not going away. Won't fall very much, however you want to put it. eBay, Expedia, Whirlpool, they're all doing really, really well. All right, so Expedia, let's look at that one. Is this where you were shopping for these plays? Because they are definitely part of the whole XLY extravaganza here. But the leading one is Newell. You had mentioned FND as well, Archana. Brilliant. This is awesome. We're all in the same kind of, right, space. Sorry, that's Floor and Decor Holdings, where I bought my bathroom tile. Looks fabulous. MXK is Mohawk. It's coming up off the bottom, has a nice scoop, needs follow through. But Newell right now is the one that's leading the bunch. Very, very strong. Morningstar reversal on a daily. Pullback was shallow. Breakout to the 50 and holding. Nice. This is now above the Keltner and the 200, whereas your Zim, Archana, is just thinking about it. So it's not there yet. Yeah, can't tell from positioning. Nope, I can't tell from positioning. Yes, Hood, if that was your horse, very nice job as well. They're all in the same double support where you've got factor rotation, hedge funds covering, Bitcoin appreciation, right? Those 2 things are just extremely helpful. And I'm going to give it a third nod, mega cap tech weakness, softness of sorts. We're not falling apart. Hardly falling apart. Come on, Tesla's only down 0.5%. But it's Microsoft. It's the combined kind of weakness that makes folks get a little bit nervous. Who was asking about Square? It just triggered above 70. That's very bullish above 70. Yeah. So I have Square was doing very nicely, but it really needed to get above 70 to get into this kind of 75 area. That looks good. Oh yeah, look at the chasing going on in Square. It might have been already in play from 64, but I like a little bit more confirmation. So basically on the daily, very nice. Poked above, came back in, then it held yesterday, now it's following through. So Square is in what's called a squeeze. It has to, repeat, has to stay above 69.86 to continue long. But square looks good as a chase, right? I like that as a chase. What else is going on here? Artemis, Etsy, almost there. My coin doing, that's a swing long, by the way, but doing really well at this 86 area. Roku, I shouldn't have ignored. Very strong. UPST, already a swing, doing superbly. GNRC, not worried about it. Digesting really nicely at that 141. VNO, not worried about it. In fact, it looks phenomenal. Look at this. Gorgeous inverse head and shoulder. Beautiful. I'm just not worried about that one. I'm strangely not worried about IPI, but for a different time frame. I still think this needs probably a few weeks to base here. I think that was it. I think we're done going down, but I absolutely don't think this is going to be momentum driven right now. VNO looks a lot better. Hey, Kevin, I'm so sorry. WFC. Yeah, because we got banks coming in. I'm not a fan. Yeah, I think banks are going to have some absolute weakness coming into play. They've got unrealized losses on their treasury holdings. They've got credit contraction slowly but surely. The biggest heads up will be any continued loss in their net interest margin. That's a big reason for banks to stay suppressed. Bank deposits will obviously be looking at those, not necessarily for JP Morgan, but I don't think banks are high risk reward. I could be completely wrong. I just don't think this looks like a solid long. This looks like it's only bounced into resistance. Here's the 200. You know how I feel about the 200. It's a great long into 200, but then not so much. SoFi is also a short covering, no question. Look at this base for a long, long time. Then they had the student loans. Then it pulled back. Twilio, it looks good again. Look at this. Look at this. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay, we got up here. Remember, I had gotten an alert on this and ignored it, which was right here, 51. Then I said, oh, no, this looks good. Then we digested. We have stayed above that 10 and 21, which is 61.5. Hold on, let me see. 61.51, 61.21, came right back down to all that support. Look at that. This looks good to me. We need to trigger above 66.78 for Twilio to take off. No, it's not a squeeze. It just is a swing setup that looks decent, right? It had triggered here. And now it has had a shallow pullback. All we need is a trigger above the 66.78. So we're getting closer. Earnings not until August 3rd. I have no edge with earnings. I don't know if it's going to run into earnings, but right now, oversold stuff is just looking so good. Okay, IWM is, where are you? LPG, I really like that one. Ann's other comment is LPG. They are adding more ships to the fleet, but rates are staying up for a lot of reasons. They are more of a trend trade. Yes, divvy yield is over 15%. That's gorgeous. All right, so LPG is the boring one we just went over. It's a great trend trade. It's got a 15% dividend yield. However, options are non-existent. So I wouldn't touch that. You'd make a market. They are not. They are existing, but they're really, really not. You can get in, but you may not be able to get out. So it looks like a much better stock. All right, so we got strong IWM highs. IWV is the one to really, really watch. That's the Russell 3000. Think unprofitable tech, short covering. AN, you've been long for 3 weeks. AN. Auto Nation, holy smokes, gorgeous job. All right, this was a breakout. This was a trend. Let me see, do I actually have that on my trend list? I do not. For shame. All right, we're going to look at Target next. Yep. Okay, hold on. So, Auto Nation. This was the breakout. Absolutely had to stay above 140. That was beginning of June. So it actually consolidated beautifully. Here's your 10 and 21 breakout. Came up to the Bollinger Band. Yeah, God, that was really strong. Got above 154.50. Got above 158.30. You have had getting extended the mean. So here's the only problem I see with this, Alexander. You're at the 127 fib level. So I must have looked at this for you before. Yeah, this is definitely people still want, there's still a lot of demand. Trucks, retail are ridiculous. Anyway, the point is it's still doing well, but the only hesitation I have is the fact that it has broken out, right? And this fib level, 1275, would not be a surprise to kind of digest. It doesn't mean it's done going up, but take a look, right? So it hit the 618 and digested for better part of 2 weeks before moving higher. Here's your 78.6 and here's your 100. It went sideways only about 3 days before moving back up to the 127. So I would say gorgeous. Just be aware that this is the mean on the daily, 169 to 160. And on a weekly, it's way the heck back here at 154. So definitely take care on that. All right, we got a deal reporter, Intel deal. So Intel and TSEM, for whatever it's worth. I don't know anything about it. It just says, yeah, they're going to, no, this is not, there's nothing there. Nope, nothing there. I mean, it is coming up off the bottom, yes, but I don't have enough about it. Market's not falling apart. We're not moving either, but it's not falling apart. That's for darn sure. Okay, SVXY. Let's do all the volatility stuff. All right, so this was a massive move lower in SVXY, and it got defended. Like, oh my God, it got defended. Did not come back down to this trend line. I really thought it would. Anyway, it has moved back into the fold of the 3 and 8. 3 and 8. Now it's gotten above the 3 and 8. In fact, it did it with a gap up. Right back up to 84.10. Here's that quarterly where it got rejected. Here's your 10, your Keltner. Didn't even tag it. So massive VIX suppression in full view. Look at this. This is the top of the Bollinger Band. There's your gap literally from the intraday. Is that correct? Let me make sure I got that right. Oh, it's 84.21. Why doesn't it do up there? All right, so 84.21 is literally that complete volatility surge that we had of 21%. Remember that? Got defended. As soon as Europe closed, there's 11 o'clock. It stopped. As soon as Europe closed, it turned right around, went higher. There's the gap fill, 84.21. That's really all there is to say about that. So above is bullish the market. Rejection here and pullback is bearish the market. So far, that's impressive. And breadth in NYSE continues to be wicked bullish, but look where it just hit. So yeah, this is where we literally broke down back in the bank crisis. And then we had the bank bailout. We had a retest all the way back up. So where are banks though? This is in large part NYSE, just to kind of keep that in mind. You can kind of see the bank bailout, retest, and then higher. IWM doesn't really do it as much justice because it went sideways for such a long time. IWV is better because it has the Russell 3000. I happen to like that one more. Long the short of it is banks have only made it back up to the 200. So they better report better than expected earnings if they're going to have a push. Earnings Yeah, don't excite me. We still don't. ACN. Okay, a firm is in the news too. And it's an oversold play. Yeah, we definitely don't have enough selling going on here. Take a look. That's buying. That's on a daily. We just went right above. See how we petered out? We pulled back only until Thursday. Friday, we started strong. We kept going Monday. And here we are Tuesday. And in fact, Tuesday is breaking above. Very, very strong. We have buying. We have breadth. We have FVXY with a gap fill. We have breadth with a gap fill. We have New York FANG stocks stabilizing, not falling over, which is the XLK or the NASDAQ 100 reweighting, not falling apart. SPY is obviously more than just FANG stocks, not falling apart. It's pretty much tough to short the market when you have that kind of behavior. Hey, Square. Yes, 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 it is up. You did, Nishant. Okay, so it's very, very nice. I like this above that. That's right. That's why it was in my brain when that just, I set a trigger for you. So above 70 is definitely what you want to have continuation. Note the casinos are on sideways alert. Qs are just flat. Okay. And Sabre, SABR. Oh, very nice. I don't know anything about this one. I still don't know anything about this one. But we already talked about this. Got to stay above 344. It has not crossed over the 3 and the 21 on the weekly. That's what you really, really, really need to see. So we're right up exactly into resistance. Check that out. You might want to take a little bit off, just a little bit. Just a little bit. Because that's literally the best you could hope for if this was a chase. It's kind of like that, you know, the IPI. It has also done extremely well. Look at that, gorgeous. But this is chop. So I would expect Sabre, unless it has something going on with it that propels it above 385 and spikes it back up to 485 kind of thing. I would expect digestion right here. Doesn't look done on the daily. Looks like it wants to just digest right here. So that's all. Your Sabre calls, congrats. Your Square literally just triggered 70. That looks awesome. Oh, XRT from yesterday. My goodness. Let's see what's moving in XRT, because this is all part of small caps, right? Or oversold shorts that are getting covered. It's factor rotation in full view and value rotation in full view. It's the best of both worlds. Really, really nice. I'm if you're not just a trend trader, like LPG is a gorgeous trend, right? I've got a whole bunch of gorgeous trends that stay strong and long. This is different. This stuff is coming up off the bottom. So we're going to go through that and we're going to see a whole bunch. Etsy is absolutely leading today, but it started yesterday. Short factor rotation in XLY, consumer discretionary, was a 2 sigma standard, sigma deviation move, which means there was a lot of sharp short covering that was initiated and it has followed through. Okay, so GPS is another that hasn't crossed the 10 and 21, but look at that scoop. Oh, that's gorgeous. All right, so I do like scoop patterns a lot in the fact that this hasn't crossed yet. It might still be worth it to get a little bit if you like that pattern, because scoops are typically slingshots. And so look for the 200-day, which happens to be about 1090. I would normally not be interested in retail, but we got a factor rotation. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Stick that landing. I want to get rid of that one. Look at the gap ups. Victoria's Secret, eBay, woof. No. There's another one. Very nice play. If it can stick that landing and continue higher. But they're definitely retail that has not come back in the fold yet. That's Victoria's Secret coming up. But June 1st, supported here. Literally July 1st. Some of these look pretty nice. None of them have confirmed. Just FYI, none of them have confirmed. Etsy looks the strongest. We've already done that 93.50. It's leading on the XRT side. It's leading on the XLY side. Look at that. Right? Oops, I got the wrong. There it is. Actually, it's not leading. Newell is leading, but you know what I mean. It's the second strongest, up 5% since the open. Beautiful job. Archana, really nice job. All right, so Newell is what you want to see. If it has confirmation and follow through, you want to see this stay above. Look at that take off. That's short covering. All right, so I get a bullish engulfing followed by an inside. Not very compelling, but once it got above 914, literally it took off. So that Victoria's Secret also, if it can get inside the Keltner and the 10-week, very strong. Look at Etsy. Price target hit. Gorgeous. Coin is 88 bucks. It's gorgeous, right? It's already got to be at least. Yeah, GPS. I'm sorry, I'm looking at that too. Watching GPS and this Victoria's Secrets because it has a look similar. Not in a squeeze. All right, so Whirlpool with that 160 has a bead on it. Very, very tight. Gorgeous, honestly. So what's taking a break today? Riot's still fine, right? I mean, that's not a break. Jets. I'm going to think Jets. Yeah, Jets taking a little break today. And then how about the oversold stuff that had yet to really follow through? What do we have? Yesterday, we had all three of them at the absolute top. Yep, JB Hunt is trying. It's got a lot to catch up with. We talked about that. XPO and ODFL are at the highs, and JB Hunt has not made up the distance at all. Lift coming up off the bottom. That's a heavily shorted play. I said it could get up to this 1176, but I think it hits its head there. There's the 200. So it's done for the most part. Now the question is, can this actually follow through? I think it has a tough time, honestly. Yeah, I think it has a tough time. Coin is gorgeous, up 9% since the open. This is a gorgeous day. Okay, so We don't have any solid follow through in FANG stocks lower, but they're certainly not getting bid except for Amazon with Prime Day. We are definitely still the convergence of dash for trash with factor rotation, with value rotation in full view. Bitcoin obviously has stabilized, and these proxies have been phenomenal. Whether we can get and close above 86, that would be the question. But Hood, that's moving and grooving. MSTR and all the rest had already started. Miners, remember, I really strangely go to Hut. Hut and Hive, they have pretty much hit their price targets and then some. Yeah, Roku's on hot fire flames, but look at Snap. That has had massive call appreciation over the past month, like not a few days. Once this turned around in May, this has had solid calls coming in for Snap. I don't know if anyone remembers, but it had a short report on it, along with another. What was the other one? Both in the Snap, and I can't remember the other one. Anyway, doesn't matter. They have similar pictures. They have completely, fully recovered. Junior Tech has been on a tear. So it's going to be one of those deals where they're in play, right? A lot of big moves. I happen to like the structure best of, so for example, MNDY, I think this was actually one of yours too, Archana, wasn't it? From way back here, you're probably not still in it, but this gap up is gorgeous above 140. It doesn't have a lot of information, which is going to make it really, really tough. But once it's above, and it's not there yet, but it pulled back, it got supported. I don't like this one personally, but I like the fact that all the junior tech is basically doing the same thing. ZS has nice follow through, but it's hitting its head on the 100. We talked about that. Roku. Oh my God. Oh my God. Like, look at that thing. It's 76.70, 76.62 is the next area where it hits its head and needs to basically consolidate and move ahead. So don't be, let's just say, too cocky, because last time it got here, it completely threw up, right? So ENVX looks really good. This has definitely been updated in swing, by the way. Beyond great looking cult favorite of Cohodes. This was, for me, more technical, right? So I just really like this, as long as we can get a nice, clean, this is not a clean chart, by the way, it's all over the bloody place. But let's see, one was all right, so we had this break up into the 100 week, a pullback, but it was shallow. In other words, it's not breaking this 1293 level. It stayed above, and then it came back in, still stayed in. So that 100 was really important. Look how it got rejected last time, right? But look at the trend lines. So that trend line, really, it's held. This trend line, that held. This trend line, all it needed to do was just stay above that trend line. I said 1293, and then it shot up like hot fire flames and has stayed very bid. Yeah, once it stays above 1939, it's got a whole bunch of area higher. So yeah, ENVX needs a little update here to say $21.10. Above 21.10, we see 23.75 on way to 26.09. Really nice. Yeah, Baba isn't going anywhere. It's mostly junior tech right now, not the big tech stuff. We have Roku up 10% since the open into 76.62. Snap has had just constant accumulated calls. I mean, I don't know what the heck has gone on with Snap, but today's a quiet day. Twilio, you know how I feel about this one. I think it's setting up to shoot higher. Doesn't have a lot of options yet today. That looks gorgeous. Just needs a trigger of 66.78. Yeah, even ARC is working. But these were recommended before because they had gotten above this trend line. So I'm just doing this technically, really. It's nothing, it has nothing to do with fundamentals above when it comes to ARC, right? This is still no NVIDIA, lots and lots of Tesla, lots and lots of Bitcoin proxies, and some CRISPR plays. Anyway, long story short, it's doing great. So the ARKF, this had already digested beautifully at the 50-week and was moving higher. ARKQ, which I don't even look at very often, but somebody asked about it and it's doing fine. ARKG, genomics, is sideways, but look at that trend line. We got junior tech in play. We got oversold crypto in play, has been in play. We've got oversold value in play. Whether it be, you know, this guy. We got oversold consumer discretionary and retail in play. By the way, that's hitting its head at 93.50. GPS looks gorgeous for a scoop pattern. That's definitely the 100-day. For right now, that's price target, but after that, we gotta get back above the 10 and 21. Victoria's Secret still with an unwind. There's a lot unwinding, and there's a lot following through. Your square looks great above 70, that kind of stuff. Oh yeah, spot. Digesting beautifully above the 200. So that shocked me. That did not have any pullback. Has not even come close to the 10-week. The heck is that thing? What time is it? Oh yeah, almost 11. Okay. Baba is not doing much. Microsoft is not doing much. All right, so basically we've got junior tech, and then the market is excited. We have a little bit of, let's just call it a China holding, right? Not falling apart by any stretch. Hit that 91.89 and is softening but not falling. We have, again, internals, SVXY, gap fill from that rollover on Wednesday, literally. VIX spiked up to, not quite measured move, but close. I had 1736. I thought with the size of that SVXY rollover, this should have been much bigger. So it's still holding, interestingly enough, above that 1449. SPX holding where we opened, pretty much same thing, right? Pop, drop, pop. We had a little drop, but not much. We haven't had any follow through. IWM the strongest, with IWV my pick, and NYSE is basically a big old, what do you call it, chop fest sideways, with FANG also digesting sideways but has not broken. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Yes, everybody loves when we get a day like this to go hog wild and load up. And hopefully I didn't discourage that. I just don't necessarily trust that is sustainable. I don't know if we're going to get follow through, for example. Like coin, that's a good swing. I like where that's headed. Really like where that's headed. It's doing extremely well. Didn't see Etsy like Archna did yesterday. Phenomenal follow through today. Didn't read about the sector rotation, excuse me, the factor rotation into triggering that the biggest loss in 10 years, right? That's why this is what's following through. As soon as you know that, you know you have the wind at your back. These plays that have been heavily shorted by hedge funds right now, they're in trouble. They're against the ropes. This type of stuff can blow them up. Now, today they're not so bad because FANG isn't falling apart, right? The NVIDIAs of the world, they went back into green. So they're managing, but just be careful that factor rotation can turn into volatility. We're not there. We had a complete reversal of SVXY, right? We have breadth still positive with buying, which is very important. They're still buying. Oops, that's a 3-day. Hold on. We're not going to go so far. There we go. Yeah, and bonds are just sucking wind right now as the 10-year softens back down to 3.945. All right, so Square, Sabre, ENV, Globe, and Crude. Hey, Brian, what about your VLO? You're back in it, huh? All right, I'm still not excited. I'm sorry. Okay, so Target is one to watch because they have been positioning here, buying the bottom, but we haven't actually triggered higher. I don't know if this is part of factor rotation. This was post earnings. And then I put that they came in with like $2 billion in dark pool buying, but it hasn't moved yet. So what I've been watching is, will we get any size, and I do mean size, option activity, positioning. 135 is not size, right? But it's a decent, quote unquote, it's cheap at 27 IV. It can move pretty quickly. So, this is up 70% and it's only moved less than 2%. So I like these kind of plays. It's under a lot of, let's just call, I don't want to call it resistance, but worry. So let's just kind of keep that right now as when this starts to push higher, we're going to have a lot more in the retail space and consumer discretionary push higher. I don't know if they're selling or buying these. No idea. No idea. He is a regional bank. Kevin, is it you with, yeah, that's digesting well. Adobe's fine. I'm not a Para fan. RH is ridiculous. Are you still long on this? We have basically come back up here and tested this huge channel. Very tough one to play with options, I might add. At least my humble experience. So this, if it's really going to be a trend reversal, in other words, all this basing, you just clean it up. Let me get rid of that even. That's where it broke down. So the real big test is going to be 410. So this is on a monthly, right? Took a few months before it got above 410. It retested 410. It rolled over to and through 410. It tested 410 and slightly above on the 30, broke down, slithered to the 100 on the monthly. This is the 10, which is very important. It just as in just closed above, and this is a mess, right? So this is where it usually kind of comes up, maybe overshoots, but this is definitely going to take some time if this is going to really be a bottom fishing trend play. It has to get and stay above 410. I don't think so. I think it's going to hit its head pretty soon and start to digest. We're almost there, like maybe 370, maybe 370. Already at 361. Yep. 361.76 up to 3. Maybe it gets above there. Impressive though. Yep, that was definitely a big move. Home builders are doing much better. Home Depot, Lowe's are doing much better. Remember in Home Depot that this 43 billion that they made in 3 years was unsustainable. So everybody who was so excited about shorting this stock on their last earnings call, I'm like, why? I mean, they're well managed. They're not going to go anywhere fast, but they're definitely not going to fall apart. It was absolutely a buy on that, and it has moved higher since. So Restoration Hardware is much more speculative. But anyway, that's where I think it's going to start hitting its head. Pretty sure. All right. Any other questions? Crude, bullish engulfing. I just want to look at something. EXC. No, it's just coming up to the 200-day, which is descending. You know me. I'm not a fan. This is just a chop fest. Chop fest. To me, crude is a short at 75.65. All right, so gold got rejected at 1938 intraday. The Qs, SPY are languishing while all the action is underneath the surface. And I do mean all the action is underneath the surface with some massive moves. In particular, again, you do you. I don't want to discourage you from doing XLE. I just don't see the benefit, honestly, of streaking higher oil. I think it's going to hit its head on 75.65 and get tapped back down. So please, I don't want to discourage you. I am much more interested in stuff that's coming up off the bottom. Look at that puppy. Just right. So I want stuff that's coming up off the bottom because I have a reason for it. Right now, factor rotation and hedge funds, short covering, they're freaking out. Now, I also think mega cap tech is going to roll over some more, bring the markets down a little bit more, but it's not moving very much. The stuff that's moving is this kind of stuff. It's gorgeous. VLO is solid, no question about it. All right, SMG. Hold on, even Nova, like this is, I don't, like this is short covering, but there's nothing here that I would chase at this point. I shouldn't say that, I wouldn't chase at this point. It has already moved dramatically off the bottom from 730 to 1010. Let's see if we can have any kind of buyback, pullback that gets bought. Where would that be? 940. Holy smokes. Where did it take off? No question about it. 100% right here. Oh, you can't see it. Can you see that on the hourly? That candle was 5 million. Oh, no kidding. Hold on, I gotta look at something. What was that candle? That was 10 million. Holy smokes, that really moved. That was 10 million. All right, so that was 10 million. That was 5 million, but collectively, that's 2.5 million. They're still accumulating it. Wow, they're still accumulating it. This is still in play. Huh. I'm shocked. They're still accumulating this. Right now, it is a solid sea of green in NVAX. Just as an example of factor rotation, I'm looking to see like what's its normal behavior. When's the last time it spiked? What happened after the last spike? Obviously, it got sold off sharply. It didn't have the 10 and 21, right? Then it came right back down here. When's the first time it actually closed above the 10 and 21? This week on solid volume. I would say that's pure factor rotation right here. And I'm shocked to say this. It doesn't even look done. Huh. Doesn't even look. Okay, so that's it. We got factor rotation in full view. Shorts are just right now in a lot of pain. You know what? Your GNRC has a lot of shorts. Didn't think about that. This was a short report as well. I forget who, Muddy Waters or something. So this has a lot of shorts. Carvana. Great job. You picked some really good ones, Alexander. Okay, so what's SMG? Coming up off the Keltner channel, gorgeous. It's a quote unquote more value than factor rotation, that's for sure. I mean, they're not shorting Scott's Miracle Grow into oblivion. Bullish engulfing, closes above the 10. This needs time for that to settle and then move higher. Still looks very productive. You had a snapback below the 200 and then a quick whip higher. How long you been in it? Is it a short duration for you? Pretty extended above the Bollinger Band, but it looks good. I would be much more confident and comfortable if it could get and stay above 71. The nice move after this. Bullish engulfing, gorgeous follow through with basically a doji. Opened up extremely well. Moving really well, but not a swing until it can get and stay above 71. Really nice place to get defended too. Look at the 200. Gap below, hit the 55, shallow, pull back, only spiked briefly, closed above, opened beautifully. Inside, above the 3-day, spike higher, a gap higher. Nice. Oh, Alexander says NVAX got its vaccine approved in Europe, by the way. Okay. Well. Oh, on the 30-minute chart, Alexander. So the volume surge is on the 30-minute here. Let me show you. I didn't know I got alerted. All right, so here's this Novax on daily. This is on the 30-minute. This is where I have the volume indicators, and then if it happens to go into a squeeze, this one actually doesn't look like a squeeze candidate, but there's no question. You can kind of see this is the volume, right, on a 30-minute, which is what I like to use for this particular indicator. You can see a massive surge higher on this date back in May that got completely unwound. It went right back to the bottom. Okay, you can also use some of these WRSI indicators. When it gets above, it typically comes back in, right? Anyway, the volume has been accumulated large on this now that was a nice squeeze. That was a nice squeeze. It's still in accumulation. You can see the unbalanced volume. See how it's moving higher, still moving higher, means they're still accumulating this. So a little red right here, right now, but the bigger point is you can see the structure of this. Can you compare it to what is normally going on? Nothing. That was one and done. And I just showed you on the chart also with that big spike higher in May. Right here. Tagged, got completely sold. So it did not have that profile of buying, buying, buying. And it also, on the weekly, was nowhere near the 10 and 21 crossover. This one is. So this is a much better follow through. 10 and 21 crossover for one. You can see the stochastics also. Back above the red is bullish, but it didn't do anything for price action here. So it's not the only indicator, right? You can see the move here in stochastics still looks bullish. You can see the support. It made it all the way up to that 940. It's above the 3-day. It could be a violent one, no question. But look at the, still looks good. But more importantly, even if it has a little bit of red right here, that's not such a big deal. It's the accumulation of volume that's been in play since that, what I would call either the European news or the factor rotation that is still rising. So don't know anything more about it than it looks like shorts are nervous. Yeah, they're going to be really nervous. They're going to be really, really nervous if this takes off higher. So this doesn't look done. I don't mean for today. I'm talking about if this can get and stay above this trend line, shorts are going to scurry to cover. And I do not know the short percentage. Nope, I do not. This is softening a little bit. Roku still has a lot of buying. Just started that squeeze. My goodness, totally missed that one. Sorry about that. No, this is, for me, I wouldn't test it. To me, this is absolutely quote unquote price target, but that's a massive expansion candle. So those shorts were definitely unwinding in Roku. No question about it. Etsy, strong, still has buying. My goodness, Archna, you caught a tiger by its tail with that one. Seriously. Snap still has buying. It is probably nearing its nadir there in that squeeze. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 solid bars. 1180 was that trigger of size. There is no question we got a lot of shorts, that some more than others, obviously, that are getting triggered. I like boring stuff, but coin was boring until today. So that's what I try to look for, right? I try to look for this stuff that's rotating, and it's 11 o'clock, European close. We're going to get some profit taking, 100%. We're going to get profit taking. Nothing lasts indefinitely with these spikes in the morning. So just kind of take care. Oh, GLBE, I didn't even, yeah, that was one that was also gorgeous for whatever they do, I don't even know. Bullish engulfing here and follow through all of May. The junior tech stuff definitely wasn't one that I was excited about because the options were really poor. So you did stock, I'm quite sure, because this is just not a great options market. But yes, now it's starting to come in $45 calls. Look at this, 12, 39, 54. This was not a great options market, but definitely has participated and still looks great. Yeah. Shockingly, I would say 40.65, next level. Big old level. 47.70. Again, nice job. You got some really good ones here. I would not have recommended because it didn't have great options, but in other words, you can't like sell calls against it now, right? It would be like fluidly, like very high liquidity, but this is still looking fine. It's done nothing wrong. So the stuff that didn't really move very much, obviously anything in the mega cap tech today, but stuff under the surface has been phenomenal. And I wouldn't let go of the shorts in mega cap tech just yet. They don't look done. They look soggy, but they don't look bullish. They don't look like they're going to fall apart either, but they don't look bullish. Does that help? All right, you're doing awesome. Thank you, Anne, for the LPG idea. I think I'm gonna borrow that one. And big picture on macro. Watch the dollar yen. Let's see if it can come out. Not today because it's clearly stabilizing at this 55 and the 140.80. But we're sitting on the 10 weeks, so I think we're going to come down a little bit more. Just a little bit of like a shake and bake, and then we'll see what it's really made of. But that's way fast, right? Gold didn't really take off higher. It just had a wee bounce. That's it. Silver 2, GDX. They're starting to base and look a little bit better, but I still don't trust them. SPY is absolutely boring. The action is under the surface, or specifically IWV. Just go there. And then, of course, you can see what's happening in my the scans that I keep going over that are the squeeze, or it's a combination of squeeze with volume, like coin took off, but that's been a swing. And UPST took off again, but that's been a swing. And Etsy was one yesterday recommended by Arch, and I had no idea we had factor rotation. Look at that puppy explode higher with Newell, which I never even looked at for years. But these plays are what's coming up off the ground, and they are short covering. VSCO looks like another one that is trying. So they're not swing trades. They're just short covering rallies that could last for like Etsy 2 days or coin for a few weeks. So let me know tomorrow. We'll have jobless claims and all that jazz on Thursday. Tomorrow is CPI, and the market will react, bullish or bearish. I don't know. I just still think what's working is working. Oversold, value, not mega cap tech. Have a great afternoon. Oh, OIH. My goodness, let's see. Rig is still absolutely gorgeous. That was my swing recommendation way long ago that hadn't broken stop. So boring. And then it took off. OIH has, yes, we'll look at that for sure. So what I do is since I'm not so excited about oil as a long, it's only a long into like 75, 65. And then of course, oil and gas plays kind of moving up with it. Some are better than others. Like Brian plays VLO. That's his like best friend. So he's really good with that one. OIH looks obviously bullish into the Keltner, which is this right here. Massive move yesterday. Friday. What's in it? Let's see what we had for gap ups first of all, because that's kind of the strength. Halliburton. Look at that, look identical. See the weighting? Hal is obviously a very big weighting in OIH. Schlumberger, exact same pattern, exactly into the Keltner. NTS right into the 200. That is a gorgeous trend. FTI, this is really oil and gas equipment services play has not done very much wrong. Still, same thing, bullish. I'm just trying to see if there's anything in here that's a theme here. Rig, that was recommended as long as it didn't break this support. It looked like it was going to do this. Unfortunately, I recommended it like back here. It took a while, came back down, then it took off. But I really liked this shape tremendously. Plus, they had added a whole bunch of new orders back here. So it pulled back before it broke out. This looks great to 10. So this space, this drilling and such is doing really well. Yeah, those are definitely the heaviest weighting. Earnings, let's see what they might also be running into earnings. Albertan, 719 earnings. My goodness. Schlumberger, also 721. Yeah, I still think though that's a little bit extended right as it hits the Keltner. All three of those. Let's go real quick and take a look. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So I'm looking for oil to hit that 75, 65, and then that's really all there is to say about that. We're almost there. So when it does, I'm going to be very, very, very curious if we get rejected firmly about that $76. If we do, all the oil and gas plays are going to be in distribution because they just kind of run with the underlying. Not always, but I think we'll give them a pause, if nothing else. Hope that helps. So crude getting to the 77.11. Maybe, like I only have this one, right? This, you can see it, 75, 65. Of course, it can overshoot 76, right? Here's 77. I like to use this one more than the 200. I know you've got it on the 200 day. I don't have the 200 day on here. I don't have any moving averages on the commodities, do I? That's interesting. Anyway, it's still working. Nat gas, not so much, but oil, crude, absolutely. In the meantime, the market is still short covering. Look at Z, right? Who last thought that Open and Redfin and Zillow would come up off the bottom? Skills was a decrepit SPAC. I don't even know what that was. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They're coming up off the bottom. A 1 for 20 is basically, a lot of these are just junk. I know it is shocking, but this won't last, okay? So you got to really be careful. But they are having short covering treatment, and I hope you had some good positions or some good chases this morning. I will talk to you tomorrow. Oh, the last planned SPR release was a few days ago for oil. And XLE at 84. Let me look. Last one. Hold on. I want to get clean. Yeah, I've got. Wouldn't surprise me. We go right back up into that 83.69 or 200 and then get rejected. Yep. Why not? But 83, like look at this channel. It's like, channel surfing. We would have to get and stay above 83 on the weekly and the two. This is such a messy one. It's not done, but it's not elegant or high conviction. And be careful. Once this comes back into 3.945 on the 10-year, I would expect some bounce or retracement in the yen and bonds and gold. But in the meantime, quite a busy morning. And in some cases, it won't be, what do you call it? It won't be done, right? So I'm still a bear. Short term on mega cap tech, and I'm absolutely looking for the next coin. No question about it. Like we talked about Redfin, we talked about Open, these oversold plays that also have been basing for a year, and now they're really following through. But it happens to be on a very sharp factor rotation, and I don't trust factor rotation. Factor rotation peters out. So that's the thing I'm oh yeah, I forgot ARKX is another one. Oh my goodness. Well, revenge of Kathy. Tech is still hanging out on that trend line, and Trex is still looking really good above 62.63. Not just for a chase, but a swing. If it can hold above this 62.63, I like a lot. In the same way I liked ENVX, it was on some really solid support right here at this 13. It was gorgeous. And then it did that, right? So this is absolutely legit. Very, very legit looking chart. I can't tell you a thing about it fundamentally, though. All right. Have a great afternoon. See you tomorrow.